Hello and welcome to episode 23 of my Survival Minecraft Let's Play. I am iWhat, I wonder about things, and we start this episode in front of our starter base because the first project that I want to do in this episode is actually something that I think a large part of the audience will absolutely not see coming, and I'm going to explain it on the map right here because I want to do some terraforming. I want to build a custom river that goes from here through the mountain and cuts through the valley right here and then joins up to the river over there somewhere. Now, that is already a really big project, but after that I would like to work on this area because we have picked the blocks that we want to use over here, but it still looks like this. And yeah, with that, I think I can film my episode multiple times over. And should I do the classic YouTuber sentence here? Why not? Let's do it. But without further ado, let's get straight into it. Can we please play the intro? Right now, we are in an area of our world that might not be very familiar, simply because we don't come here very often, and when I did come here, I don't think I was recording every single time, so, you know, maybe you've seen this once or twice. To clarify where I am towards the southern part of the area that we sort of designated as our base area. If you go in that direction over there, you end up roughly at the Cherry Grove biome, and across the hill you can see the beam of the beacon. Across the hill is the area of our base, and as I showed you on the map in the introduction of this video, I want to start our custom river somewhere branching off from the real river over here. And we have this really deep cave that generated here, and I kind of want to use this as a sort of starting point. And then from this, I want to curve a little bit to the right here and sort of follow the lowest point of the terrain, interestingly. And I want to go through the mountain in a sort of cave and then come out on the other side. Also, I think today is the day that we clear the iconic lava fall on this side of the mountain. I'm sorry, but it's really ugly. It has to go at some point. Okay, so the intent is to then come out of the mountain over here, somewhere where we have this waterfall, and then we cross the valley, probably going over our mining hole here. And then we make our river going over here, and we go all the way to the back there over at the other existing river. And we're almost there. Maybe we have to cut down some more trees over here. And there it is. So over here, the man-made river is supposed to end. I'm not entirely sure if I am able to do all of that in one episode though, because as you can see, that is a really long distance to cover. But let's say that we have just gathered ourselves some tools to speed this process up. And yeah, just to clarify, this is like all of our gunpowder supply, so we have like 10 gunpowder left or something. And we are not really getting any new gunpowder because, you know, I've placed all of these torches so there are no new creepers spawning. Yeah, but we are going to start with the underground section here through the mountain and the section on the other side, because those are the two parts that I definitely want to focus on. Maybe we don't finish the part running across the valley leading up to the other river. I was doing some work to prepare the area here to use the TNT, and then I noticed one thing, that is that surprisingly there is actually 2 lava source blocks to the lava fall here. So let's actually block off the second one as well. There we go. And the other thing that I just realized is that on the other side of the hill, right here, we actually have to dig a really deep hole, because that stone right there is at the level at which I want to have the water. And as you can see, we have a lot of terrain that is kind of in the way here. And that basically means that our project is going to be a lot more difficult on this side than I originally expected, actually. However, more towards the middle of the valley here, it should be a little bit better because it does go down a bit. But yeah, that probably already means that I will not be able to finish this river entirely in this episode, but that's fine because we'll start on the other side. Alright, I start with using the pick and the shovel to sort of dig out a smaller area for this river to go. And I think we'll bring out the TNT in a later stage, especially when we have actually entered the mountain here. But I kind of want to clarify something, and that is the plan for this episode, because I mean, maybe it's not entirely clear, but I do not intend to decorate this river or polish it in any way. Essentially, what I want to do right now is just dig a hole and put some water in it, and that's it. The decoration and making it look pretty and everything is for a later date. Right, let's see. So, right here we have this cave area. And I was thinking that this is roughly the width that I wanted to go with. Maybe a little bit more different on that edge. But the width of this is roughly what I intend to use all the way through. And yeah, that means that we have to start by digging through the mountain a lot here. And I think it might be useful to place down a beacon here, because that way we have the haste 2 effect and everything just goes a lot easier. I just came up with an insane idea, and I think it might be a good idea. So, I was just talking about how I discovered that the river on this side will be quite deep into the terrain. And I've decided that I don't really like that. I would like to have the river a little bit more shallow into the terrain, or however you would word it. And there are 2 options to do that. The first option is to raise the water level of the river. But then how do you connect it to the already existing rivers? And the second option is to lower the terrain around the river. And that is the idea that I came up with. I want to lower the terrain around the river. Now, because the valley of our base area is relatively flat, and because the plan in the long term is to eventually build a village, city-ish thing over here, I think that eventually I will make this area flat anyway. And because we haven't built anything here yet, we have actually quite a lot of control over the terrain. So my idea is to lower the terrain by 4 or 5 blocks across the entirety of this valley. Now, some people in the audience might now be going, Iwat, you are crazy, because as you can see, this is a really large area, so that will be extremely time consuming. And to a certain extent, I agree, but I have 2 counter arguments to that. Firstly, we don't have to do everything at once. I mean, we can just do sections along where we are building. And secondly, we can instant mine grass, dirt and stone. So all of the blocks that are in our way here can easily be destroyed. So actually, I think this is a doable project to simply lower the terrain by a couple blocks in the entire valley here. Now, over there at the zombie villager curing house, the terrain is actually higher than I would want it to be then. But that is fine, because we still have this entire stretch of land here where we can work with to make it go lower up to the river. Now, as insane as this project may sound, I actually feel like I want to do this, so that's fine. Sometimes Iwat has some crazy ideas that he wants to do in his world, and this is one of them. Yeah, maybe I take back my words. Perhaps I am just crazy, but I do think that I want to continue with this project. Okay, so I have dug a tunnel here, straight through the mountain, and half the way across here, or roughly half the way across here, we breached into that one large cave here. Oh, there's a slime right there. Maybe it's worth to go there and kill it. Yeah, we breached into this large cave area here. And I think that is actually really interesting because we might incorporate our river thing into this area actually. And then over here we end up in the valley of our base. And of course we have to go up because of all of the things that I talked about earlier. However, I don't think I want to go just in a straight line. I feel like I want to exit the mountain a little bit more to the left here, more like over here. And because there is this big cave area, I feel like we have to curve a little bit away from that. And a curve in our underground river here will definitely make it a little bit more interesting. So more that way. And I'm first going to prepare like a simple tunnel like we have right now. And then I feel like we bring out the TNT. But first I'm going to try and kill that slime down there. Because I actually think that is worth it. We don't really have a reliable source of slime, and if we can get some, that is always a good idea. Where is he? Or did he already despawn? I think he already despawned. Okay, so I placed down the entire stack of TNT in our little tunnel that we made, and right now it is time to do this. I don't think it will chain all the way through. I think we have to light almost every of the TNT individually, although it seems to be going quite well actually. That kind of surprised me. And then we just follow it and we just get the items that the TNT drops. Yeah, once we are in the mountain, the TNT doesn't chain at all, and we basically just have to light every single one individually, but I'm fine with that, because that's kind of what I expected. I am sorry if you were expecting a satisfying TNT chain explosion all the way through the mountain, because in order to do that we would need to use way more TNT, and we simply do not have enough gunpowder for that. But this works fine actually, because right now we are making a lot of progress in a very small time span. And that is the last TNT done. So if we now walk back through the tunnel here, we can see that it's probably not wide enough, and that is kind of disappointing actually. But we do have the haste effect, so it should be relatively quick to make it the size that we want. Also, we need more torches. Alright, for the first part here, I think I'm just going to shovel away a little bit. And this gives you an idea of how deep this river should be in the terrain on the other side. But on this side, I don't think it's as bad, because, you know, we can figure something out on this side. I think we just have to make it a little bit more wide, and then we are good here. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I have done a little bit of mining. Actually, this went way quicker than I expected. And, yeah, I'm not convinced about the shape of my river valley thing here. But, now I'm going to do something that might surprise a couple of you. And that is, I am already going to put the water in. Even though I think that I will make the shape of this completely different. We'll still work on this. And the reason I am going to do that is because I think by doing that, I can more clearly see what's wrong with it. I think it's a little bit too flat. I'm not entirely sure. Like the edges curve up to like not steep enough. And I'm not sure how to really fix that, but I think by putting in the water we can see what it needs. Also, once I have put in the water, I am going to move on to the next project though, because we are already quite a bit into the episode, I think. Ladies and gentlemen, the section about the custom river through the mountain is taking a way larger section of the video than I originally anticipated. And I seem to run into this problem almost every time, where I think, we'll get that done in 5 minutes in this video. But then it takes up half the video. And based on my previous experience, I already condensed my episode down into just 2 things. But still, I feel like I'm running out of time quickly here, so that's both good and bad. It's good because that means it's easy to create nice videos for, YouTube. But it's also bad because, I feel like I'm running out of time all the time. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, the water has been put in place, and I have to be honest with you, but this turns out a lot better than I expected. Like the curve that I made here, I thought it was off in shape or way too flat. I still think it's off in shape, but with the water in place it looks way better. And now I can see what we should change to it in order to make it look good. But for this project at least, today I have run out of time, and it still requires a lot of work. As it always does, because, of course, this is terraforming. This is very time consuming. But one of the main things that we should do, of course, is to, raise the ceiling. And interestingly, oh, that's cool. That is something I did not know. The haste effect does not apply when you are in a boat. That is interesting. I was kind of hoping it would, because that would make mining this a lot easier. Maybe we should invest in a pair of boots with the ice walking thing over water enchantment. Maybe that is useful in this case here, actually. But now we move on to the area around the iron farm. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are here at the iron farm area, and I have already started by placing down some grass pathing here, because I feel like I want to have some grass pathing around the corner here. And also a hallway branching off to the left here. Now, to start off, I kind of want to challenge myself here, because we have 4 blocks of depth to work with. And I think that that should be enough to build a statue here. You see, a couple of episodes ago, someone in the comments suggested to build some statues in the world. Specifically, they requested Moai statues. Now, I don't think I'm going to build a Moai statue, but their intent was to sort of add lore to the world. I don't think I'll add lore to the world, or at least not with this statue, but I do like the idea of building a statue, so I am going to try and build a statue over here. While working on that statue, I was listening for the iron golems in the iron farm, and I noticed that it was completely silent, and I am so confused by that. So I went into the redstone area of the iron farm, and it is broken, and I have encountered a bug here. So the timer that allows us to generate new villagers is has stopped. And also there are 2 blocks missing here, and I'm really confused as to why they are missing. Yeah, but let's focus on a bug here. So you see these hoppers right here? In this hopper there are 19 items, and in this one there are none. And that is weird, because there should be items in the other one as well. And I don't understand why that has happened. Secondly, this one should be transferring its items into here, because it is unpowered right now. The redstone block is next to the other hopper. So, I have no idea why these 19 items are staying where they are. I have one idea though as to why this has broken. And that is, if we do this, press F3 and G, there is a chunk border running through this thing. Basically what that means is this right side can be unloaded while the left side is loaded and the other way around. And in some cases in Redstone that can just mess things up. And I think right here that is actually what happened. And the solution is maybe to just turn it on and off, and to completely prevent this from happening again, we can just move it over 1 block. Ladies and gentlemen, the statue has been completed, and I am very proud of this statue. I think this looks incredibly nice actually. But it took so long to make. Like, you have no idea how many different designs I went through and how many things I undid in the process of making this. Like, I would love to get you more involved in the process of how I got to this, how I designed this, and things I tried that didn't quite work. But you know what, that's just way too time consuming to take you through all of that, because I went to so many different designs before I settled on this, and this was so difficult to build. In fact, it was so difficult to build that if you were to ask me right now, give me something difficult to build in Minecraft, I would answer statue. Statue is incredibly difficult to build. But right here, this works, so I'm going with this. And I feel like right now I actually want to mirror this to the other side. So we have 2 statues on either side here. Ladies and gentlemen, the second statue has been constructed. And I love how this looks. I know that I said how I wasn't going to include lore with this, but they really feel like the guardians of the storage system or something. I have no idea. Also, by the way, it's a little bit more difficult to mirror something like this than I actually expected, but it wasn't so bad as designing this thing, because, you know, I already kind of know where what blocks go, so this wasn't too difficult. Also, I added leaves in the ceiling, as I always do. Right, now we move on to this area right here. And I think I'm going to focus on this wall first and then on this wall, because I think this wall will be easier to do than the opposite side, strangely enough. Because over here we don't have that much room. But I already kind of have an idea of what I want over here. I think I want a lot of plants and greenery on this side, but we'll see. We have some things to work with, and of course we use the yellow terracotta as a backdrop. But on this side, I feel like we should add a water feature, and I think to start with, I am going to build that water feature, maybe with a railing over here with some fences or something. Let me figure some things out here. Yeah, I think we're getting somewhere. So, as I already told you a couple episodes ago, I wanted to build a waterfall over there. And right now I was just trying a couple of things, and I think we're getting somewhere. I think this is roughly the height that we want for this waterfall. Maybe we want to go up or down 1 more block, but I think this is roughly like the size that we want. For the remaining part over there, I'm not entirely sure what I want to do, so I think I will just make like sections of the wall and add a yellow backdrop and just fill it in with whatever I can actually. I added in some framing and I extended it and raised the ceiling, and I added a little bridge here. I made that wall yellow and a whole bunch of other things. But I wanted to talk about this framing actually, because framing is something you should do in almost every build in Minecraft. It helps so much with making your build look good. And right here we used these polished basalt and deep slate bricks for that. Next up, I think I am going to put leaves in the ceiling, as I always do. And maybe we are going to detail some of the walls here. I have added the leaves in the ceiling, making this build look a lot more pretty already. And I have added something on that wall. Now that wall is definitely not finished because it does need a lot of detailing. I also added a painting, which is actually already part of the detailing. But I tried to incorporate more paintings into my builds lately. And I feel that surprisingly often it works really well and it actually looks very good. And I love how this one looks again. So, you know, I'm really happy with that. I think next up I'm going to do this thing and add a lot of details over here. Maybe like over here we can put like a little window with a mob on display or something. I'm not entirely sure. Adding details to my builds is one of my favorite things to do in Minecraft. And that is probably why this part of the build takes so much time. I went with just simply adding rows and rows of potted plants because I think that looks the best from the things I've tried. Also, I've added a little hole here for a map on display that we still have to put in. And I added a custom tree here with some different leaves than there are in the ceiling. I don't know if that matters too much, but it feels like if we had oak leaves here, it just didn't really work. The difference here is subtle, but it is used in the build. It does make a difference. Some sugarcane, and also I decided to extend the build here because otherwise somehow like the shape of this bridge thing wasn't quite right, and I feel like we have to continue over here. Now, I do feel like we have to end the build over here, though. I don't feel like we should extend towards there. Over here we can do that, but I'm still figuring out what I exactly want over here. I think for this episode we'll leave this side open. I think we'll focus on this side over here. Ladies and gentlemen, the build has been extended by a lot here. I decided to build in everything all at once and add in all the details in one go off camera. I did that because I could just repeat things that I had earlier, and that is actually something that I wanted to talk about with you. Because every single time I do some building in this game, I try to give you some building advice, and today I would like to talk about repetition. Right here in this build, we copy and pasted a lot of things. So for example, this waterfall right here, we just copied it and pasted it over there. Or this nature section right here, we just copied it and pasted it at the end. Now, to be fair, these two are not exact copies of each other, but that doesn't really matter because in design, they are exactly the same. Also, these flower pot things, we just copied that a bunch of times throughout this build. And repetition is a very good thing because when you repeat things in your build, that will make your life as a builder so much more easy. Because, to me anyways, the building process, the part of that takes up the most time is actually the designing part. Trying to figure out what looks good. So once you have figured out something that looks good, you can just copy and paste that a bunch of times in your build. And that will speed up the process because then you don't have to worry about if it looks good and you just have to place in the blocks. However, there are a couple of downsides to repetition as well. Actually, not entirely, but we'll get to that. Too much repetition is bad, and I don't really have an example where I have used too much repetition. but you'll definitely notice it when you have too much repetition, because then your build will start to look dull. Also, repetition is good, but sometimes when you copy and paste things, you want to have little variations on it. For example, with the flower pots right here, we copy and paste that every time, but every time we add different flowers. Or these side pillar section things, we copy and pasted that a lot of times in this build, but once we broke it up with adding a door in the middle. Or this nature thing. Nature is actually the most easy thing to do this with. We copy and pasted it, but the tree and the grass looks a little bit different in both of these like little things. And changing it up ever so slightly can make it such a big difference when you repeat things. All of this, by the way, also kind of applies to symmetry, since symmetry is just mirroring something and then copy it to the other side. And yeah. With repetition, I actually advise in using repetition, because repetition often makes a build just look better, in my opinion. I don't know why, but when you repeat certain parts of your build, it makes it more consistent in a way, and that helps a lot. Also notice the symmetry between the two statues here. That way I only had to design one of them. That's the same concept. Actually, about symmetry, I kind of advise against symmetry very often, because I think a lot of builds in Minecraft look a lot better with symmetry. But maybe for a beginning builder, that is a bit of a difficult thing to do, to work without symmetry. So maybe that's only a light advice that you don't really have to follow necessarily. Right. This wall right here is not finished, and I feel like we should add like a little build or farm here. I'm not entirely sure what yet, and I think I'm going to sleep about that first, and that is something that I will add at a later time. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, oh, I also added some what are they called? I added the things in the water, the green things. This, sea pickles. Right. Have I said everything now? I think I have. Right, with that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to end this episode, sadly. And this episode was, again, a very fun one to make. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. And that brings me to the fact of this video. And the fact of this video is that the hook on measuring tape is intentionally left loose. In fact, it is just the right amount of loose so that it accounts for the thickness of the lip when measuring something. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you for watching, and I hope I can see you in the next episode. And as always, keep wondering.